it's fantastic. It's like deep, goes right down.
Okay, well then ask it.
Alright, so like if the colonel is so good at like speaking and like talking to people, why do you think he wanted Belisa to write him a speech so bad?
You already asked that question.
No, we didn't. We asked why he couldn't write.
Why he couldn't write, not why he wanted her to give him a speech.
Yeah, sounds right.
Well, he wants a speech because he wants to win by a popular election rather than by using force to get the elections like set up already. And then because Belisa was so eloquent already with like her words, he could make the people's minds move and like sympathize with him where it's coming from.
And I think it also is like he didn't have like the knowledge to like put enough like good words together that would like sway the people to like vote for him. And it was like she just had more like knowledge of extra words that would help him.
Right, like I agree with that. Like he was able to have like the appearance of like a very like suave person, like with the way he like speaks and stuff. But he needed someone to like make up the words for him, and that's what Belisa like had. Like she could put them together well, and he could present it well.
I think you can kind of see it like the colonel's kind of like an actor. And most actors don't write anything of their own, but they can say stuff really well, and they can put on a persona, because obviously the colonel wasn't like some grand scholar or anything, but he could make himself seem like that. So I think it's kind of like an actor just reading the words that someone's giving to him.
Oh, don't be a tool. So, you know, he wanted to use Belisa because he didn't want to have the risk of messing up in the speech and that. He wanted it to be perfect, and she was known for that, and just, you know, wanted to make a good impression.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with what Sabrina said, that like, yeah, he was really well respected by everybody, and so the fact that he had like all these big words and everything that he got from Belisa wasn't really a surprise to them, so it was kind of like an actor that like got a script from somebody and then performed it, and then everybody praised the actor, so like it was believable for him to use all these words because of how respected he was.
Like I think that he easily, like he said in the text, that he easily could have like taken over the government like a tyranny and stuff, but he wanted the people to like him, and so he wanted to try like a different approach that he like wasn't accustomed to. So that's why he like seeked for writing.
Give it to Matt. Give it to Natalie.
Natalie.
I'm not to listen. Shots fired.
How do you think Belisa's background of being like poor and alone has significance in the story like later on? How do you think that Belisa's background of being like poor and like alone without like anybody, how does that like have significance in the story? Like how did she like develop, I guess?
I think that the fact that she was poor and alone like made her, like Nick was saying, she had never really had anybody to love, and so when she was so used to people only seeking out for her words, and then when the colonel liked her, it was that much better for her because it was finally somebody who wanted her for her, not just for her words. So because she had never felt that before, because nobody. So yeah.
I think it makes her more relatable to the audience, because even if you're super rich, you don't really relate to like the rich guy a story. You always relate to like the underdog who came from nothing and then made their own way. And I think if she'd been like some like mysterious empress who like lived in a palace, I don't think we could have related to her as well. But because she comes from poverty and she had to work her way up, we can all like relate to her struggle, and we see her as like a better protagonist.
What do you think were like the colonel's intentions or like motivations for running for president? Like, why didn't he just stay what he was like right now, like just being kind of like a warlord?
because he said he wanted to he said that in the past they've always had people who would just rule with only their power, and he wanted to change it to be more of he wanted the people to actually want to have him as a leader, not just have a tyrant as their ruler.
And also, he said he was really alone, and because no one liked him, so he wanted to get a position where people actually liked him, because he worked for the people instead of against the people.
He's seen how corrupt everybody is through the wars and whatnot, and just with all the presidents or whatever they had, dictators in the past, he just wanted to have a change and to cure the country of all the grievances and everything that he's been through.
Presidente, próximo presidente de Estados
You're
Unidos.
strong and smart. Wow.
Be your lobbyist.
Alright, so when the Colonel and El Mulatto want to bring Belisa back, El Mulatto says you're coming with me, and it says that she had been waiting. Why do you think Belisa had been waiting for the Colonel to call her back?
She was waiting because she knew the two words. She knew the two words that she told the Colonel would she knew that she would be called back to them, and she knew how strong the words were and what an impact they would have on him. So she was expecting him to be really affected by them and need her.
And I think the two words thing, because it says that for the people that do pay a certain amount of money, everyone gets an extra word or something. So I think it could be possible that just because, I mean, yeah, a lot of people think that it was because he liked her and she liked him, but it also could be something for her where she says something that makes them want to come back for more business, and maybe she just gets more business because she knows that those words will affect them and they would want to come back for more, So it could be like that too.
We've been talking a lot about what's going on inside the story, and I'd like to draw it back out to the author. We know that she was born in Peru and was raised in Chile, and most of this story is about the government and how words affect the government and things like that. What do you think the author's perspective on the Latin American government as a whole, or not Latin America as a whole, but the specific governments in Latin America, each country, or just the Chilean government?
And I should pause because I didn't teach this. Her father, her uncle is very famous. Her uncle was the democratically elected president of Chile. And then, all right, there was a certain faction that called him a communist. He wasn't. It was socialist government. But with the CIA and the United States helped, they toppled his government, assassinated him, and Allende had to flee for her life. Her uncle. She went to Venezuela to write. Her uncle is very famous in Latin America, Salvador Allende.
En Chile estaba Pinochet.
Pinochet, which is very much like Franco.
Había muchos tiranos, dictadores en Chile. Había mucho problema.
So now that there's a democratically elected president, how do you think the author's view of her new government is?
I think Belisa is actually symbolic of the change that needs to happen, and she causes that in Coronel, who went from being a bandit, who went from doing all these violent things, to transitioning to wanting to do things the quote-unquote right way, and Belisa influences him, and so I think that's representative as a whole of what change should happen to the Chilean government. And then Mulatto is significant of the mafia and all that kind of stuff, all the bad things, because they want Belisa, who's also power, they want her, they don't want to give her any rights or anything, they hold a gun to her neck and stuff like that. It's they don't know anything but violence, and Coronel knows orating skills, he knows how to do things the right way after having had a bad background. So I think
Interesting.
Coronel is the government, mulatto is the informal black kind of stuff, the black economy, that kind of stuff, and then Belisa is change.
Very good.
I agree with that, and I also think she's trying to express that like words can be like just as powerful as violence, except not like physically harming. Because she says, or in the story, it says something about like El Mulatto had a fear of tongue, like that's why he never like killed her. Like he feared like what she would say to him, and I think that she's like trying to say like words can be like just as powerful as like using violence if you know how to use them correctly and pick your words carefully. So I think she's trying to say like that's what their government needs to like go off of, and like their leader needs to be able to speak, and if he does need to enforce a strict law or something, or that he like that's really important, he can use these like big like powerful words like to express how serious he is about it, but without like using like guns and violence and killing.
Permiso, escriban en un papelito rápido las dos palabras que ustedes piensan y vamos a hacer una votación. No tienen que poner nombre, solamente dos palabras que crean ustedes cuáles pudieran ser. En un papelito y lo envuelven. El papelito chiquitico y lo traen. Vamos a ver cuáles son las dos palabras. Permiso, voy a usar esto y después te digo.
I shouldn't be looking.
Aquí me lo ponen.
They look.
Dos palabras. En un papelito pequeñito. Anónimo, no nombre, nada. Muchas gracias. Muy bien, muy bien. Vamos a ver cuáles son las ganadoras.
What if you say there were never supposed to be two words?
Gracias.
That could be.
I don't think that won't fit on this whole thing. Yeah, no, the two words are important.
If they were important, she would have
Like 2 words, and then write the little less than sign. Everything else is crazy.
What if I think the two words are Dos Palabras?
Wait, that's not.
Ooh. Ooh, kill him.
What if it's really different?
¿Ya terminaste, Connor? Muy
What
bien.
if the 2 words are 3 words?
Vamos a ver.
That's what I just said. Conspiracy.
Dos.
Said what if the 2 words are different?
Muy bien. Dame la de primero. Dos palabras.
Right, I'm not buying that.
Muy bien.
She has another theory.
What is it?
Bueno, pero puede ser no palabras. Acción.
It's beyond words. Right.
It's true love.
¿Cuál es el comentario favorito para ver el ganador?
Oh, no, siguen con uno. No, porque tú sabes que extendieron el tiempo, güey.
Ah, bueno.
Sí. Sí. Yeah, we still have, it's at the 13-minute point. The other group spoke for 20 minutes, so we'll roll it. While she's looking at them.
Oh, yeah, I got one.
No, pero continúa.
Sí.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, wait,
so,
wait.
yeah.
I think that there's a little bit of bitterness in the story because, I mean, her uncle was the president of Chile, and I think, was he democratically elected? Yeah, so he was democratically elected, and the people supported him, and then he was just thrown out. So I think there's a lot of bitterness in the story, and I think it's kind of key that we don't know what the colonel's political affiliations are. We don't know, like, if he's left-wing or right-wing or totalitarian or communist or whatever. All we know is that the people are starting to really like him, and they're probably going to elect him. So I think we as the audience are supporting him because we know he's getting democratically elected and our protagonist likes him. So I think she's trying to get us to see, like, we all like this guy, he's going to get elected, everybody's liking him. So she almost wants us to see kind of the bitterness that she has that her uncle was democratically elected and then it was taken away from him. So she wants us to kind of